One. All right. Welcome to Cagecraft Pod. I'm Val Dewar here with Jesse and Dylan here to talk about some MMA. It's just a trial episode, but episode one if all goes well. So let's get right into it. We got UFC Jacksonville coming up. The year is 2023 because there may be a UFC Jacksonville sometime in the future. Don't want to get people confused. And it's Emmett versus Topuria main event. So let's start at the top. Yeah, I mean it's like the two biggest hitters in the division, really.
Yeah, it'll be a really good test for Topuria, I think, because Emmett isn't exactly a technician by any means.
No,
but he's a fucking banger.
I was listening. Sorry,
you go.
Great start. Already talking over. All right, so I was listening. Fuck, who was I listening to? Someone that was saying, I think it was John Anik, saying that like Emmett told him he just doesn't change game plans like at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's not good at this level. Like, that's why you lost to Yair, dude. But I mean, I do think he's being counted out in this because he's tough, has an insane chin. Like, I think he has the better chin in this fight, and that could be what it comes down to. Well, that and like cardio, because to me, Topuria's question is cardio, like not just cardio, but like energy management and then cardio, because he throws with all his power and kind of burns himself out. We've seen, and I think Emmett doesn't.
Oh. Sorry.
Or Emmett throws all his power, but doesn't burn himself out. He has cardio for 5 rounds, we've seen. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest keys is the body punching for Topuria. Obviously, we saw it in a way with the body kicks with Emmett versus Yair, but Topuria is very, very diverse in his strikes. I think back to the Jai Herbert knockout in which he hit, I believe, a 2, 3, 4 something to the head, and just absolutely put him to sleep. And Emmett has a really bad habit of, if he's not moving forward, he's moving in a circle backwards. And Topuria is tremendous at cutting the ring. I actually have an article coming out about him tonight, which is check out at atlfightshop.com. But
shameless self-plug.
Shameless self-plug off the bat. But I actually describe his movement as almost like a panther. He's so smooth in the way that he cuts off the ring, moves in and out, and while he does tend to overextend sometimes, Topuria, I think the diversity of attacks and just the angles he creates is very important. And a guy like Emmett, like I said, if he's not moving forward, he's just simply circling backwards, and Topuria will make you pay up against the cage. I think Bryce Mitchell learned that very, very quickly. If you don't make your space, you're going to end up getting tracked down by him. So that's kind of my initial.
Yeah, I think the one thing that should be interesting in this is Topuria is a really good grappler, but Emmett's much more willing to actually mix it in and diversify his sort of attacks. So it should be interesting to see, how that might.
I don't like how not inactive necessarily, but even in the Yair fight, Josh Emmett would get the takedown and then kind of just hang on for dear life. And it almost felt like more of a desperation measure.
It was definitely by that point. Like, I thought he should have wrestled from the beginning. That's why I bet on him as an underdog in that fight. Cause I was like, yeah, Yair's been wrestleable and Emmett can wrestle, but he just chose not to cause he's not that smart. But like,
if I'm not mistaken, Yair threw a knee within 10 seconds of the fight starting and then continually started to throw stuff up the middle, which again, I think just kept Emmett away from it. And then he only wrestled when he had to. And by that time, like you said, it was too late. And Yair did really good work off the bottom. And I think we're underestimating just how strong Topuria is. I think we got a flash of it in the Bryce Mitchell fight, but this dude's fought up at 155. He absolutely ragdolled. One of the best grapplers. I mean, Edson Barbosa isn't exactly like a monster on the ground, but I remember Bryce Mitchell making him look like a child grappling.
He just ran through him.
Mauling. And Topuria did the exact same thing to Bryce Mitchell. And Emmett is on the wrong side of 35. I think he's 38, 39 now?
Somewhere around there. 38.
I think 38, yeah. So again, power's the last thing to go, but a footwork heavy game and a moving in and out kind of timing style like Emmett has is definitely it's you can capitalize on it. That's my main point.
Yeah.
I don't know, if you can pressure Emmett successfully, which you probably can, how active will he be? Like, it's 5 rounds. Will he pace himself? Will Topuria pace himself more for 5 rounds? Yeah. Will Emmett, circling and dancing out of the way, make it a slower fight? Because that's, the key for me for Topuria to win. Obviously there's technical and tactical keys, but just, overall, if he's fighting at, at the Bryce Mitchell pace, he's going to gas out. I don't think there's a doubt that he's going to gas out at that pace, and then Emmett's going to finish him at that pace. Unless Topuria gets a finish. I don't think he's really that live to get a finish on the ground. I mean, it's possible, but I'm not seeing it. Unless
Emmett got subbed in his last fight.
I'm just Emmett's takedown defense is really solid. Yeah, he
It was
did.
not. I mean, not your
He did,
normal
but he was like
submission.
severely hurt by then, and it's the
Yeah,
difference
absolutely.
is the kicks. Like Taporia did not throw kicks at all, and Yair was just eating him up from kicks on outside. And even when I mean Yair is less defensively responsible in the pocket, but when Yair was coming in with hands is when he was getting clipped badly. So Emmett, like all tactics aside, which he totally eschews, it's like he's always live. I mean, he could be live against.
And realistically, all
Yeah.
Topuria really has to look out for is the overhands from either side, because that's kind of he doesn't really set him up. He kind of just wings big shots and lunges forward. So
Emmett did start using hooks to the body against Cater. Like Cater's not going to gas out, but it was like just I'll hit you with these, I'll fuck you up, back you off a little. And that could work against Topuria also. Like you talked about Topuria's body punching, it could come back the other way also. So all right, final picks. Like Emmett's plus 285 right now, and I'm picking him.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Emmett.
I am
just because I think.
Oh no, you go ahead, finish up.
In terms of like the competition faced, just his resume is a little bit deeper, and it's worth noting the disparity in terms of guys they face so far, and if Topuria will be able to pace himself over 5, or I mean, who the hell knows? But I'm just a feeling, a hunch, a vibe.
Not only do I have to pick him now because you guys both picked Emmett, but I would have picked Topuria anyways.
You don't have to.
I believe that youth is on his side. We got like a 12-year age gap. Like I said, I think that Emmett is starting to show signs of potentially slowing down, and I think Topuria is one of, if not the hottest prospect in the UFC right now, period. So I think that not even prospect, just up and coming contender. So I don't know. I see Topuria getting it done by round 3 or 4, to be honest. Not sure how, but that's my pick.
I'm not sure. Well, I mean, unless it's like unless he paces himself, I don't think he makes it to round 4.
Yeah.
I think he has to get
fair.
a finish in those first 3 rounds if he's fighting like he usually does. And I mean, maybe even the first 2. Like he slowed down against Lal in round 3, and that wasn't even a high-paced fight, although it was short notice. But he has a rough weight cut. Like he fought at bantamweight in the past, but he does have a rough weight cut, like definitively. Like despite being shorter and stockier.
One more note about this fight that's interesting. This is going to be the first time in the UFC that Ilia Topuria is not the shorter fighter and not at a reach disadvantage.
Really?
He's been at a reach and height disadvantage in every single one of his 5 UFC matchups thus far. And Emmett is 5'6".
Yeah, I think.
Wow.
He's 5'6", but he still has longer reach.
Yes, but
one inch.
The point is this is like a much more sizable opponent than Ilia's ever faced before. So again, that could influence it anyway.
I mean, it's the same for Emmett though. Like he was facing Yair, who's like the longest guy in the division,
and Cater, who's a pretty big boy.
And Cater's pretty tall and long too. Yeah. Not
right,
Ige.
Speaking
but
of not
Burgos,
not big boys, let's talk some 125 girls. What do you guys have to say about this fight, Amanda Hebos and Nikki Barber?
Not much. I mean, I think it'll just be shitty striking.
I don't think it'll necessarily be shitty striking. Probably. I think the Macy Barber's improved a lot, but she's not necessarily like anything special. A lot of 1-2s, a lot of key eyeing, I think I think she's matured a lot, and I think she's like kind of coming into her own. I personally don't think she should be the underdog in this fight. I think she's very capable of winning this.
I think she's the more talented striker. I don't know if she's the more effective striker.
If she can apply herself.
Because Ribas just seems to do more, and Macy has this. Like, I thought she lost to Lee. I thought she lost to Maverick.
I actually didn't think she lost the Lee fight. I was one of the few who actually...
I thought she.
I really liked her work on the ground. She was very active on the bottom, and Lee was kind of, I felt like, hanging on for dear life a lot of that fight. And when it was on the feet, Barber tended to actually get into range and punish her a little bit. But again, it was. I definitely see your point. It was close enough to be like, I don't really know how I feel about her as a prospect. So it's fine. It's a fight. It's gonna happen.
And it's just
the
pattern of kind of doing that.
The problem is both of them have such terrible footwork that it's like, how do we know what the hell's going to happen? Because one of them's going to back straight up and the other's going to probably also back straight up.
3 feet out of range.
Yeah.
I'm predicting a split. Can I just predict that and then predict the winner? No, I'll predict.
You know what? I'm going to bet on a split decision on that fight this weekend. That's a good call. See what the odds are.
That's a very fair bet. But I'm taking.
Might not give you good odds.
I'm taking. There's going to be at least 2 head and arm throws. But we'll see.
Over under 1.5. I'm definitely taking the over.
At least.
Exactly. I'm taking that action all day.
I'll take Barber for the sake of it.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm not talking about. I mean, we have Austin Lane's on the card because he was a former Jacksonville Jaguar.
He looks like
And he
Bilal
sucks.
Muhammad
I
if
mean,
he
Justin
committed to his
Tafa.
beard and put on 60 pounds.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Justin Tafa could find a way to lose
Stinks.
to a football player.
Justin
Who knows?
Tafa,
Well, David
bad
Onama
fighter.
versus
Justin Tafa
What?
is a bad mixed martial
Yeah.
artist. He's got power, and
in
that's
the
it.
first
Yes.
heavyweight to miss weight in the
Now
UFC.
joined by Jake Collier and Chris Barnett.
All right.
Absolute king.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
All right.
absolute king. Huggy
David
bear, baby.
Onama, Gabriel Santos, an actually really fun
That's-
weight fight.
That's gonna be a good fight. I've
Like-
been high on Santos since his
Me
debut.
too. I thought I bet on him against Murphy. I thought he won against Murphy. He's a great grappler. His chin, like that's the thing that worries me against Onama because his chin isn't amazing, but his toughness is. Like if you see, I mean, you know, Dylan, his LFA fights, he was getting dinged and coming back and winning and just
Absolutely.
bonkers fights. He's great. He's a good grappler, not an elite wrestler, but a good
Yeah, he's-
grappler. And a good technical striker with not like he got tired against Murphy, but Onama's cardio is his biggest weakness, so I'm not
Yeah.
worried about that in this one. And I think that's how he's gonna win if he does win, if he doesn't get chinned in the first
Yeah,
round.
so yeah, Santos LFA vet. He was 2-0 in LFA. Where does he train out of? That's
he was
right.
the
Okay, so
champ
he,
too, right?
he trains
Yeah,
out of
won the belt.
Evolucao Thai MMA down in Brazil, which they actually have several good UFC fighters, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Bruno Silva trains out of there.
Also on this card. Wait,
no,
the
Bruno
flyweight
Blindado
or
Silva, the guy in
middleweight?
this card. Bruno
Okay,
Fajeda,
yeah, also on this card.
Wellington Souza, another regional guy. You know, so they have a pretty good roster of Brazilian guys. So he's definitely from a good gym. I really couldn't tell you who won that Murphy Santos fight. That was very close. One of those This is the card of like guys coming off razor close decisions who we just don't really know what to expect. But
Yeah.
Yeah, the dude's coming off of losses that
Absolutely.
still raise their stock.
And
You know,
I think on the other side, Onama is coming off that loss to Landwehr last August in San Diego.
Yeah.
And if we want to talk about potentially chinny, I think he is. I mean, I think he had a rough weight cut, if I'm not mistaken, for that fight. And I think there was some other stuff going on, but he got knocked down, I think, 4 or 5 times in that fight. And
So that's
Yeah, it's true.
only once he gassed. Like in the first round, I mean, like we looked at the Mason Jones
Yeah.
fight. His chin is insane. I mean, and he showed Mason Jones' chin is insane too. But like, once he gets tired, he can stay in it. Like he's super tough, but he's just like flopping all over the place because he doesn't know
Absolutely.
how to
Well, I
fight
think that's
tired.
another factor too, is the fact that Gabriel Santos has proven not only to have a good gas tank, but to be able to come back from bad situations as well. And against a guy like Lerone Murphy, who's, I don't know if he's known as like a cardio monster, but I think he's he stays pretty consistent throughout all rounds. And I think in that fight, he had pretty good output throughout. So I think I see Santos probably cruising to a late finish or a decision here, if we're being honest.
Yeah. I see a late submission because like Onama, like he showed he can still like Nanwer's not a submission, artist, but like that's why you couldn't get him out of there really. Like if he had been able to, he probably could have choked him out. But Santos, I think like when Onama's in that situation, if he gets there, he's gonna choke him out or armbar him like he almost did to Lerone Murphy. And I think
I'm taking Santos by decision just because, I feel like Onama, while he is lacking in a few areas, I feel like he is one of those dudes that's very good at surviving and hard to finish. But I'm giving Santos the edge just because he seems to have a very high ceiling from what I can read. So I'm very excited to see how that plays
that was
out.
his first.
Yeah, and
I was
the
going
thing
to say
about
first
Onama,
loss for Santos in his career as well. Was that Lerone Murphy? He was 10-0 going in.
Yeah.
So obviously, a very, very legit talent level coming out.
Yeah, and do you guys know how long he took that fight
Very
on? It
short
was
notice.
short notice against Murphy, right?
because Murphy was
5
supposed to
days
fight.
ago.
It was a few weeks then, because Nathaniel Wood,
was it?
he remember that video? He split his knee open in training on the mat or whatever. And that was, I remember it was pretty short notice, but I think they might have been looking for a guy for like a week and then announced Santos. I think it was probably 2 weeks notice or something like that. But he had to travel to London also.
I think the X factor here is who is Onama training with? He can't train at Glory anymore. Who is he training with? What adjustments will he make to conserve his cardio output and get better cardio in this fight? Like if he does that, I could see him winning. I could see him winning anyway. I can see him knocking him out in the first round if he fights like he did before. He can knock out or submit anyone in the first 2 rounds pretty much at feather 8. He's just that crazy athletic, just unpolished, sloppy at times, But if he's able to conserve better, I could see him winning on pure athleticism because Santos, while technically good, tough, he's not a like athletic demon like Onama. He's
No.
not even like top percentile of athleticism in the UFC featherweight division at all. So, yeah, but I got Santos submission round 3.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. So next up, Brendan Allen versus the aforementioned Blindado Bruno
I
Silva.
also
I love
do.
that
Glad you
nickname.
appreciate it as well.
Yeah. So Bruno Silva, another M1 monster, but like not great takedown defense, and that's kind of like the dynamic seems pretty simple to me here. You know?
Well, here's the thing with Brendan Allen is he can get dudes down reliably and he can get good work going from top, but a lot of the times, like think about against Chris Curtis, think about he just seems to do a lot of hanging around and not actually taking dudes down.
I think
striking for no fucking reason.
You're right, but I think and against Strickland, but I think he's kind of adjusted from that like the Jotko fight. I mean, he's on this good run now, and he's kind of seems to have learned from that. Like those were dumb fights, like and he's liable to fuck up at any time, but he did what he needed to do against Jotko, who's like Jotko is. You might think, oh, I could beat him. He's not like gonna knock me out like Chris Curtis or Sean Strickland. He's not like doesn't have any knockouts really, but Brendan Allen's still like, all right, I'll just take him down and choke him out. Even though like Jotko could have like low output kickboxed him to a decision win. Potentially with Brendan if Brendan Allen hung around on the feet. So I mean I really do think like I'm really like fairly confident in the submission for Brendan Allen here. But
because
like,
he
Blindado
looked
is
phenomenal. Powerful. He looked so good against who was it? Fluffy?
Muniz
Muniz.
Jotko. Yeah.
I get that
Muniz
confused all the
he
time.
looked good. He got taken down by Jotko, swept him like really smart sweep there. And then, they both got up, took him down. Jotko got up again, I think, took him down, choked him out. And his takedowns were really nice. Like, I was really impressed with him against Jotko because Jotko has historically really good takedown defense. And Blindado
Bruno Silva is perhaps one of the most inconsistent fighters to me in the UFC middleweight division.
Yeah, I mean,
he showed up and gave Alex Pereira probably his hardest fight outside of the Izzy fights and in his MMA career.
Yeah.
And then next time out, who he fought, and he looked just absolutely terrible.
Yeah, GM3.
Yeah, true.
And then
they
knocked out Tavares.
I thought Tavares was going to win that.
So it's like, I don't really know where. Even though he's been in the UFC for a decent amount now, I don't really know where he is in a sense because.
Yeah.
I have no way to rate him because it's like he'll look great against one guy and then look completely shit against someone else.
Against Brendan Allen, I think he's a big guy. He's stocky. He's well built, kind of like that Chris Curtis model. So I think if he can kind of leverage his way, keep things on the feet, control the distance a little bit, I think he has a chance to put some hands on him because Brendan Allen has been knocked out before and has shown that he's, at least capable of getting, caught at least. So
I think Brendan Allen's striking has become a bit underrated because of the Curtis and Strickland fights, but I think Bruno would win on the feet. But the Andrew Sanchez fight, I just don't. Then he got taken down 7 times, and then Andrew Sanchez gassed out. The Turman fight, he was he ended up on the ground against a guy he should have wanted to strike
Andrew
with,
Sanchez,
and
who fought for the PFL the other night. Crazy! I can't say I've seen that fight before, but what a world, huh?
Yeah, it was it is 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, 8 months ago, 10 months ago.
I'm an Andrew Sanchez fan, so I probably just blotted that one out of my memory.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's I just think he's gonna get taken down and submitted. It's pretty much that simple. A round one submission for me. Rear naked choke is what I'm calling my shot. All right, now some tall dudes, real tall dudes. Magny, Phil Rowe.
Essentially my fight of the night right here. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Neil Magny WrestleFuck.
I think that Neil Magny, while a good jiu-jitsu guy and, is strong in the clinch, is liable of getting outboxed and outkicked. I think that Phil Rowe has shown a lot of improvements too over his last few fights. He missed weight last time out, which isn't great, but he put on that absolute banger with Nico Price, recovered from a getting hurt bad, and then ended up finishing him in the second round and blew. Before that, who else? He's on a 3-fight win streak right now. Let me check who he.
Yeah, so I didn't like what I saw from him in the Nico Price fight as far as his output. He needs to make the most of his time on the feet because his takedown defense is not good, I think. I mean, he has jiu-jitsu, but like he's liable to get taken down. Jason Witt, Gabe Green, these guys are taking him down, and they're not. Like Jason Witt is the chinniest guy in the UFC, and although Phil Rowe ended up knocking him out, it was in round 2. He should have probably chinned him in the first minute.
Yeah.
But he's like a bit low output for me, especially in that Nico Price fight. Like Nico Price is pretty past it, like not like washed, but past it.
Yeah, but then again, I think Neil Magny's definitely at the tail end of his career. He's not looked great recently. And the one thing I will say about Phil Rowe, is he does seem to pick his shots pretty well. They're not, he's not a big volume guy, but he does seem
I'd say one of the more accurate.
He's super sharp, yeah, definitely. And Neil Magny got knocked down by Max Griffin, not a big puncher, but it's just that takedown defense for me is something I cannot look past. And Neil Magny was taken down and he hasn't looked amazing. He hasn't blown anyone out of the water, but the D-Rod fight was a decent bounce back.
Let's be honest, I think we all should have tempered our expectations of D-Rod a lot sooner before we acted like he was a really skilled, good fighter.
True. But I do think he has better takedown defense.
I do,
than Phil Rowe.
Not that it's always the answer, but I like Phil Rowe's ability to throw knees. He's long. He throws a lot of stuff up the middle, whether it be knees, uppercuts. I know he has a good front kick as well. He could potentially control the range. And because he's so accurate, if he keeps you out there even for a short amount of time, he can catch you, and then it's bad news. So I'm personally going to take Phil Rowe by knockout in this fight, but that's just me.
Yeah, with Magny sort of, coming over the hill, I think his athleticism's definitely dropped off a cliff, and it might be harder for him to get in on shots and to, really commit to good body lock takedowns and everything like that. I think I'm going to choose Rowe, but not ultra confidently
30th fight
or
in the
anything
UFC
like that.
for Magny. This is going to be so.
Yeah, wow. I'm choosing Magny decision because Phil Rowe, he should be able to avoid getting submitted, I think, on the ground, but I think it'll be a 12-minute control time
I will
match.
say one more thing. While he's not always winning, Phil Rowe is extremely active in the professional grappling scene. He did the Gordon Ryan match, the Iron Man match a couple years ago, and he's been doing a lot of other just, Fury grappling and stuff like that. So I always like to see a guy who's actively competing in other areas like grappling outside of his MMA fights. Just goes to show he's a consistent competitor and he wants to improve in those areas. So, that's definitely something to look.
Yeah, he's constantly in shape. Yeah, he's one of those dudes that never... He's out of camp, but he's 100%. Never really out of camp.
And again, you never know how much those guys can improve even from fight to fight at any point in their career, just because it's always learning and always changing. So...
All right, so next one, Randy Brown's moving up to middleweight, which is interesting.
I actually did not realize this was a middleweight fight.
Wellington Turman. Yeah, it is. Wellington Turman's middleweight, and
welterweight.
My question.
It is.
Yeah, it is. Well, Wellington Turman's moving down. Shoot, I guess I just assumed. I don't know. But yeah. Well, that makes me even more confident in Randy Brown then, because my question is, what is Wellington Turman good at? I've had misreads on him in the past. Him submitting Misha Cirkunov, I was like, wait, what? I was really confused by that. But I'm still kind of questioning what he's really good at. Really good at.
He's the Dollar Tree with high elbow value to me. He's got
pretty much.
He's decent off of his back. He's a serviceable striker at times, but really I think doesn't tend to find a game plan well, and tends to either get overwhelmed or simply just outclassed in areas because he doesn't seem to have a lot for guys other than the potentially finding a submission in a scramble or something like that, So I don't really care much about this fight, to be honest. It's Randy Brown is fine. He's one of those guys kind of back and forth. He'll win one, lose one.
Yeah.
Just, he's active. So it'll be fun to watch, but I just don't have, technically not much to say about this fight.
I mean, he can be a bit of a head case sometimes, but I think he should win, I don't know, finish or decision, whatever, kind of whatever he wants. I mean, not whatever he wants, but he could win by any of the 3 methods.
But again, you said, he's definitely prone to doing something dumb and then getting caught. So it's a toss-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a teammate of mine fought Randy Brown years and years ago on the regional scene, and it was how the hell do we prepare for this guy? Because you don't know what he's coming in with, what sort of shape he's coming in at, but talking about a good front kick and good long weapons, that's sort of his bread and butter, and then everything else kind of falls by the wayside. So
long enough, I was going to take a one-arm rear naked choke, albeit against a lightweight. All right, I mean, Mateusz Rebecki versus Yurik Radzhabov. Radzhabov's like he's decent. He's better than one determined. I'd say like pound for pound, but he's like decent at everything, great at nothing. I mean, even Rebecca too. The rookie's supposed to have this awesome power and couldn't finish Nick Fiore in his last fight.
Yeah.
It was a bit weird. I don't know. I don't
care either.
Much, even though it's lightweight.
No, I've got no interest.
I
Just
don't
Contender Series
know
guys,
who's gonna win.
right?
It could go either way. It could take place anywhere. Yeah, I mean, Rajabov got to the PFL
okay,
finals.
That's
PFL, yeah.
Yeah,
But he's just so...
He faced Monfils in
Correct.
the PFL final, and it was an amazing fight, but like they're not UFC top 15
I remember-
caliber, which is...
And he's such
We'll
a
talk about
I
rigid
remember on
Becky
Becky
guy.
being incredibly hyped for the Contender Series, and like you guys said, I really have not been impressed by much that I've seen from him. So
Yeah, he choked out some guy in the Contender Series, and then like had a really... Yeah, he was supposed to knock out the guy super easy. He was like a minus 800 favorite or something, and couldn't finish him. Couldn't finish Nick Fiore. But all right, I mean, Tabitha Ricci, Jillian Robertson is slightly interesting.
I
It
actually
could be
like this
fun.
fight a lot. I'm one of the Jillian Robertson truthers out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
baby.
she
I
is.
like
She's
her.
great. We
I don't know about this
we
fight for her.
share a very similar grappling style, which I enjoy. Her single leg is actually maybe one of the best in the division. She's kind of sloppy entering, but once she gets a hold of you, I don't think there's like anybody who can really stay up while she's holding you down. She's been a little streaky in her career.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
a pretty recent
Yeah,
development
no.
for her. Like, her wrestling was not that good just a couple fights ago.
That's something too. She came into the UFC very young. I want to say she was 20 or 21, and she's 28 now, and she's 9-5 in the UFC. So obviously a little bit of mixed success, but she's on a 2 or 3 fight win streak right now, and I truly think she's very, very strong, much stronger than a lot of girls expect. She's also dropped down to strawweight now from flyweight, and her grappling continues, and not only grappling, her striking just continues to improve from fight to fight.
I think that wrestling is the key here. She's had issues. I mean, not many times, but she's been taken down in the past and hasn't defended many takedowns well in the UFC. Sorry, there's a little bit of echo.
Me?
I'm not getting it.
No, it's from it's my voice when I'm
Figure it out.
talking.
Oh, I can hear that a little bit.
Test. Shit, I don't know.
But yeah, I'm going with Robertson on that one.
Oh wait,
What?
I can hear it when you're talking too.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
can hear it
Me
from your
too?
voice too. One sec. Dylan, mute yourself. Test. Wait. Test. Yeah, that's it. It's you. Yeah. Do you have headphones you can plug into your mic?
We're crushing it.
See if this works.
It's a test episode. It's all good. Got the kinks.
Yeah, don't worry. No one's going to listen anyway, so.
All right. Test. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Ooh, hell yeah.
Goofy ass gaming headphones. Anyways, I do
Where
want
were
to
we?
talk a couple technical aspects of Jillian Robertson's game. if
Yeah,
you
go
guys don't
ahead.
mind. She is extremely good at a top half guard, which is, it really depends on the fighter, but a good or bad position depending on how you like to play. She's extremely aggressive with her elbows and ground and pound, and that's another improvement. She trains at the Goat Shed now in Florida, which is a gym I personally am not a fan of. They're very
No.
social media heavy and a lot of heavy sparring, but
Yeah, I don't
think-
like those dudes at all.
No, me either. But I think a benefit she's gotten out of there is her aggressiveness and willing to go has improved a lot. And that's something that is a really underrated trait in any women's division, I think, is that kind of just rash aggressiveness to go for it at a lot of times, And I was watching a couple of her fights earlier, and against Veronica Macedo, now Veronica Hardy, who was piecing her up on the feet. Jillian Robertson literally just bit down on her mouthpiece, caught those kicks, and just went. And she submitted her in the second round like she does to most of her opponents that she's faced and won against. So, I think Tabitha Ricci, she's got some skills. I think she's maybe a little more polished technically, but I think Robertson's just got that dog in her, and she's going to go forward and kind of do what it takes.
I think that judo background of Ricci could come if she can keep it on the feet. I think she can win the striking. Like, she's not gonna beat the shit out of Robertson on the feet, but I think she's a better technical striker.
Yeah.
I think on the ground, if Ricci's able to get the takedowns, she could win on top. But I would favor Jillian on the ground.
But again, I think Jillian Robertson, she's not somebody you necessarily want to take down because she throws a lot of arm bars. She's really a really active guard.
Yeah.
She throws a lot of elbows.
A lot of up kicks too.
A lot of up kicks. And, Ricci is another one of those jiu-jitsu players who may not be as good of a wrestler. She again got good arm bars. She armbarred her last opponent. And, decent. But I think, again, wrestling is just so important when it comes to jiu-jitsu. And Jillian Robertson is so heavily the favorite in that area in this fight. I think she chooses where the fight happens and then kind of dictates the pace from there.
My question's about her takedown defense, though. We've seen her offense improve steadily, but not her defense because it's not tested.
I don't think Ricci's going to want to take her down. That's my point.
I don't know.
What I think, and even if she does, it's not going to go well. I watched a fight against her fight against, what's her name? It was some very tattooed Brazilian girl from UFC 240. Anyways, she was a Pan American champ in jiu-jitsu and stuff, and she took Jillian Robertson down. Jillian Robertson punished her, cut her open with elbows, reversed position, ended up submitting her with an arm triangle in the fight. Because again, she just battled through, and she's like, I will. It's kind of the eat one to give two mentality, but almost in a ground sense,
Sarah Frota.
Sarah Frota, there it is.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah.
I was going to say not
with
somebody
good reason.
Real notable.
With good reason. But I will say, I'm giving Ricci the edge in terms of just athleticism.
Yeah.
Which, while it seems like something super simple and super stupid, it can make a very notable difference. But
she is going to be the smaller fighter in this fight, pretty significantly, especially because of Jillian Robertson coming down. She's been at strawweight for a couple fights now, but I think Ricci's only 5'1".
She's 5'1". She's tiny
little girl. So
thick.
Yeah, she's muscled, though she doesn't hit hard, but she is. I think also stronger than she appears. But yeah, I was on the fence. You might have talked me into Jillian.
Robertson's my dog of the night for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, plus 120. I don't know. It's a bit weird with the experience edge and the grappling edge that she's that sizable of a dog. It's not hugely, but I thought it would be a pick'em, and I think it was a pick'em at one point.
Yeah,
it should be.
All right. Shit. I'm having a backspace. All right. Zhalgas Zhumagulov versus Joshua Van, who is a guy that I don't think anyone's really familiar with, though he has boxing experience, pro boxing experience. Okay. Give it to us then.
I've actually watched him on a couple regional cards. Very pretty good striker. Very quick, kind of, decent footwork. He's 7-1 coming in. So I think, and he was actually scheduled to fight on the Contender Series. But then he obviously got signed short notice for this fight instead. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's fought for Fury FC in the past. And
all of his fights are for Fury FC.
Yeah. And he was one of their kind of grassroots prospects. I think, obviously
even up from the amateur, he was the
from amateur. He fought in their amateur series, and again, kind of really good striker, really explosive. Obviously flyweight, they're all fast there, but he's definitely somebody to look at. And on the other side, Zhalgas, the baddie Zhumagulov, with his tremendous haircut coming off of his poor decision losses in most of his UFC fights.
And pullouts. Just the worst luck than Alex Perez with pullouts and stuff at this point.
The worst luck of any UFC fighter I've seen. I mean, he's gotten unanimously robbed in 3 fights.
I would have said Leon Edwards in the past, but not anymore because he's champ now.
Yeah, say that now. And also, Zhalgas Zhumagulov has 12 kids he's got to feed.
Yeah. I made a joke to him on Twitter and he replied. I was super happy about that. He was like, I was like, you have 6? He's like, no, I have 7. I'm like, oh shit, you fucking like rabbits.
Hell yeah.
I didn't say fucking, but still.
That dude is my favorite name in MMA.
Oh, tremendous.
Zhalgas Zhumagulov.
Yes.
Come on.
Don't
get better.
Yeah. My question is takedown defense for Van, because Zhalgas is good everywhere.
Yeah, I can't speak much about his grappling. Definitely more of a striker. I either have Zhumagulov by dominant finish or Josh Van by controversial split decision. I think there's no real in between here.
You gotta always give that as an option in a Zhalgas fight.
Because I think, his record does not reflect how good he is. He was a champ over in Eastern Asia.
Oh yeah, and he could be 17-5 now instead of 14-8.
He could be ranked potentially.
And his opponents
the other way.
His only UFC win is Jerome Rivera. Not a good fighter, but he could have beaten Raulian Paiva. He lost to Amir Albazi. Beat Joe Moreira, lost to Mal Cop, but that's, Mal Cop could have beaten Molina, split decision, could have beaten Charles Johnson, split decision. These are good fighters, champions outside the UFC, current top ranked guys or just lower ranked guys. I mean, Halian Paiva arguably beat Kai Kara. I thought he beat Kai Kara France back in the day. So
I agree.
he has a win over Ali Bagatinov, Tagir Ulanbekov, Tyson Nam in the Fight Nights Global.
Those are quality wins right there.
Those are really quality wins.
So again, I like.
But he's also kind of a decisionator is the one thing. But it's flyweight, so that's okay.
Yeah.
So all right, next fight, the sloppiest of sloppy bangers that could ever exist. Trevor Peek versus Chepe Mariscal. Like,
oh man,
Trevor standing, hammer fist overhand Peek versus Chepe Mariscal, who's an LFA guy I'm sure you're familiar with, and he's just another LFA violence weight goat.
I'm actually really happy for Chepe getting this opportunity.
Yeah,
he's been one of the staples on the regional scene.
And this is a coach. Perfect fight for him.
It truly is. He's a coach. He's a consistent competitor. I think he's even done some other work just in the MMA space. And he's, just one of those guys. He's all action. He's going to bring it. He's not always the most defensively minded, whether it's on the ground or on the feet. He's 13-5 or 13-6, I believe.
13-6.
13-6. Yeah. So obviously, mixed record, but again, this is a perfect fight for him because Trevor Peek is going to literally throw anything he can throw.
Yeah, they're both sloppy. Like Chepe's sloppy, but he's gotten tighter. He's definitely gotten tighter. But also, like I talked about Jagas' opponent, straight into schedule. Let me talk about Chepe. I posted about this on Twitter. So in his UFC career, he's fought Gregor Gillespie way back in 2016, lost, of course. Lost to Bryce Mitchell, of course. No contest with Carl Deaton. Beat Pat Sabatini. That's big. Beat Yusuf Zalal. That's good. Lost to Joe Anderson Brito by knockout. Lost to Steve Garcia by knockout. Though he was losing badly, but it was a bad stoppage. Like, he was fighting back when the referee stopped it on the feet. Lost to Sean Soriano, not the greatest loss, but also like a guy who's been in the UFC. And then now 3-fight win streak, all by finish in Cage Warriors, Combate, and LFA. All like super violent fights, especially like the last one he was fighting this kickboxing guy, Guillermo Faria, and he like a guy with pro kickboxing experience, and he beat him up on the feet, took him down, beat him on the ground. So I mean, Trevor Peek, obviously super wild. Chepe, wild, getting better. Fights out of Team Elevation. Chepe is just, the main thing Peek wins with is his, like, just pressuring and, like, just being insistent enough on enforcing that pressure. And it's not, like, educated pressure. He's just tough and weird, That's how he beat Eric Gonzalez, who isn't good.
The squarest head I've ever seen in my life.
I was going to say, his Lego head probably helps him out more than we can quantify.
Yeah.
Lego head.
But so and Peek's not a great. He enforces that wrestling also the same way he enforces his pressure striking, but like Mariscal's a good enough wrestler, I think, to stop that. Like it is a pick 'em fight on the odds, and I'm going with Mariscal because he is scrappy enough. He's less sloppy than Peek. He might be a more talented wrestler, at least like an equivalently talented wrestler. He fights out of a better camp, Team Elevation.
I like the cardio
as
aspect,
tough, if not having as good a chin. Yeah.
As well, especially with a guy like Peek who's going to exert all of his energy. It's like, if this does make it out of the first round, you got to give it to Chepe. So
I mean, we don't know. Like Trevor Peek has finished all of his fights within 8 minutes. His longest fight went 3 minutes and 2 seconds. 6 of them finished in the first round. That last one finished 4:59 round 1. His Contender Series fight, he's getting taken down by Malik Lewis, who's a good wrestler, a decent wrestler. But then he came back and stopped him in round 2. So, yeah.
All right. Last 3 fights. Sorry to take
let's run through them.
I really only want to talk about Tatsuro Taira out of these last couple.
I mean, I think Emmers and Jack Jenkins is a good fight. I don't have much to say about it. I think Jack Jenkins is cool and fun, but the Don Chanis is not on Jamal Everton's level. Emmers can gas. I think Jenkins is a live dog, but I think it's going to be like a competitive, fun, but not a banger striking decision.
Just a very solid fight, honestly.
Yeah, solid. I mean, it's 145.
Yep.
But then
let's go. You want to talk about Tyra's grappling?
I just want to talk about him in general. I mean, the dude is maybe, I think, one of the most talented young prospects. 22 years old, 23 now, I think, maybe. 12-0, 22-0, including his amateur record. He is, or am I correct on that? He's 12-0 right now. Maybe I'm already imagining it.
Oh, no, Apology has 13 no.
13-0. 23 fight win streak, counting his amateur career. He is just the slickest grappler I've seen between his takedowns into his back takes, his work off with the body lock from the back, his ability to switch between submissions. He's constantly threatening. And on the feet, he's incredibly underrated as well. He kind of has a little bit more of a traditional karate background, but he manages space really, really well.
Yep.
He's got a pretty nasty right hand that he'll throw and keep guys kind of out of his face, and then he'll kind of dictate the pace of grappling. He went to a decision in his first UFC fight, but I think he spent about 8 minutes on the back threatening chokes. And
Candelario just,
Carlos Candelario had one of the toughest, gutsiest performances I've seen in a long time in that fight. And then he's finished his last 2 fights against CJ Vergara and
by armbar and triangle armbar, which is I just like when we see submissions that aren't rear naked chokes.
The coolest part about his armbar against, I think, Vergara was he was on the back and he slid off the back and caught the armbar on his way down. And it was like, so again, he literally is never far from a submission. And I think he's getting to that level where he's like, he's a good striker. He has knockouts in his career, and I think he's going to start showcasing that part of his game a little bit more now that he's like kind of just ran through guys on the ground in the UFC.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I don't know a ton about Clayton Rodriguez. I know
Clayton's a good striker.
He's a good striker, but Tyra's just that good. I really don't see him losing this fight.
They have a component in common. Can't use MMA math, but like Clayton, I thought he beat CJ Vergara even with the unlimited fence grabs Vergara got, but he was getting taken down nonetheless. And Vergara's not a great wrestler. Again, no MMA math, but like I like Clayton. I like his striking, but this isn't the fight for him. They've been slow playing Tyra. Like they gave him a debuting guy, Jesus Aguilar, in his last fight, but this is a step up in skill level, but not in stylistic level. You know, because Clayton is a pure striker. So I'm seeing an early submission.
Yeah, I think they bumped Tyra in the top 15 after this, and then it really starts to get tough from there. I think he'll be fighting for a championship in the next 2 to 3 years, if we're being completely honest.
That'd be awesome.
Could be.
That'd be awesome if he can keep it going.
The pace that this dude fights at is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see many 125ers that can withstand that.
And he's shown no signs of any cardio issues at all.
No. Even 15 minutes against Candelario, no.
Dude, the dude's threatening chokes with 3 seconds left, does not care. Yeah, it's like if he went Shudo rules, he would just
whole time.
Not Shudo, but like Pride rules, it just keep going. It's crazy.
And he's a Shudo champ. I mean, he had 2 decisions pre-UFC, but other than that, just some finish after finish on the ground. Some by ground and pound, mostly by submission.
Well.
Yeah, triangle, front choke, TK on the ground, rear naked choke, triangle choke, rear naked choke, armbar, triangle, armbar, and then we go back to his amateur career, sleeper choke. He's fighting in Kyushu Amateur Shudo Championship Tournament.
I don't even know what a sleeper choke is.
Yeah, that sounds very 90s Seagal movie.
That sounds made up. That's a fake choke. I'm sorry.
He has 2 of them, and then he has a sleeper hold. I don't know.
It sounds very 1990s.
Japan has some weird
Crazy
things. A Tyra submission is the pick.
Yeah.
And I agree, he's one of the best prospects. And then Cody Brundage should wrestle Cedricus Dumas because he's not good.
But also, who gives a
Cody
shit
Brundage
about that
is
fight?
good, but
loses for the sake of him being a terrible person.
That too.
Yep.
That has to be noted.
I just want to get your guys' quick thoughts. How do you guys rate this as a cable card? Because obviously it's UFC on ABC.
Yeah, so it's ABC. We've had some really banger ABC cards. The last one sucked though.
Yeah, I mean, I think the quality of cards, I think we all can admit, has been down a little bit over the last few months. Yeah. I think this is honestly, some people are calling it mid. I think it's really good.
I think
like a lot of the matchups on here.
There's only 5 ranked fighters: Magny, Ribas, Barber, Emmett, Topuria. Which that's not terrible for like a regular card, but the ABC cards you generally want more. But like, there's bangers, like real bangers. Emmett Topuria, banger. Onama Santos, banger. Alan Silva, fun, not a banger, but fun. Magny Rowe, high level. Randy Brown tournament, fun enough. Richie Robertson, fun enough. Jagas versus Van, flyweight, fun. Peak Mariscal, peak sloppy banger. Just the absolute peak.
Chaos.
Unintended sloppy banger.
Fuck you.
Emrys Jenkins, fun. Technical striking. Tyra Rodriguez, fun. So 7 out of 10. Yeah. But that's
Lane,
7 out of 10 is like good these
down.
days. 7 out of 10 is very good these days for a fight.
And I think I feel like there's something down there in the air in Florida that makes people fight a little wild too. So I think I'm getting some good Florida cards usually.
Also, I have to say about Tyra, like I'll criticize UFC all day for battle ordering, but they're putting him early on the card for the Japanese audience that wants to tune in for him, and it makes sense.
That's
for
smart.
in the second fight of the night. Although at some point they're gonna have to start putting him on main cards. They've been
Yep.
consistently putting him in the first and second fight of the night for the Japanese audience before they go to sleep. But yeah, I get it this time.
That's a nice note. I like that.
All right, let's switch over to one.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Sure.
Talk about
Briefly.
the heavyweight title fight that may or may not take place tomorrow morning. Because it's been a long time coming, and Arjun Buller's been weird about it.
And everything.
Arjun
Just
Buller
weird
versus
about everything.
Anatoly Malakin. Anatoly Malakin coming off that just absolute mauling of Rainier de Ritter down to
Yeah.
light heavyweight, coming back.
He's a
up
much
to
smaller
heavyweight.
guy.
Yeah,
but-
he's only about 6 feet, and I want to say he weighs in like 240, something like that, 230, 240, Malakin. And yeah, he went down and demolished de Ritter. He's coming back up to heavyweight to defend or to unite
You
the
know,
interim
he's
belts,
the
I believe.
interim belt. Yeah, he's interim. Arjun's the reigning champ who hasn't defended his belt since
he
he won
beat
it
like
2
a-
years and 1 month ago against
A
Brandon Vera.
50-year-old Brandon Vera in that
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he
has
won
not-
he won some star power in that, like because India doesn't have many fighters and it's such a big audience, and a lot of them are MMA fans because like you can see them gravitating especially towards like the Khabib and Dagestani side of things,
Mhm.
at least on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's my observation anyway. But like, I think Malakin has the takedown defense here. Is my simplistic read.
I think Malakin is just overall an absolute monster. I mean, he might be a top 10 heavyweight in the world right now.
Yeah, I think he is. I think
he's
he is.
12-0 with 12
Yeah.
finishes, if I'm not mistaken, or 10
Buller
finishes.
could
something
be
like
top 15 because like obviously heavyweight's not deep, but I think Malakin might be top 5 in the world. Really, like right up there with like Volkov and Lewis.
that. Again, what has Buller been doing though?
Yeah,
Nothing. And
yeah, really.
He's
Like,
not good. I'm not.
He's not.
I don't think Arjun Buller's good at
He
all.
lost, but he's the one of the only omoplata, maybe the only omoplata lost in UFC history against Adam Westerek. Is how I'm
Yeah,
going to
the
say that
only-
name.
Ben Saunders hit one.
Yeah,
in the UFC
he's the
as
only
well.
heavyweight.
Only heavyweight.
omoplata.
yeah. Sorry, yeah,
But
only heavyweight.
it was so
I'm
close.
sorry, I'm a
heavyweight
omoplata
omoplata.
nerd.
No, heavyweight omoplata is just bad. But I mean, his UFC wins are Juan Adams and Marcelo Golm. Well, Golm's not a bad win, but like not a great win.
Marcelo Golm
No.
is mid for Bellator
Yeah,
terms, and I don't know.
Juan Adams is like
but
not even
anyways.
mid for PFL.
Yeah, what else do we have on this card though? We got
Superlek versus Nabil. Nabil like 6'2" at bantamweight. Yeah,
I
bantamweight is
saw the
insane.
face
No,
off that
flyweight.
fight.
The one thing is the
They have
the-
confusing weight classes.
weight class. I usually get it right, but right now it's confusing me. It's 135, so it's flyweight. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Superlek should win. This Nabil's really long and like could come up with a step in knee at any point and knock him out.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of good. I just want to highlight some fights because none of us are Muay Thai experts. I'll defer to guys on Twitter like Ethan, Eric Matson, and Jamie, who I know who are Muay Thai experts. But like, Muay Thai versus Nico Correa was a fun fight. Sam is like not the most suited to one rules because he's his clinching style, but like him versus Prajanchai is a fun fight, and Prajanchai looked great. Like I really liked what I saw from Prajanchai, even though he lost the belt to Lasiri. Liking it and liking what he saw like in his return fight, and yeah, he has a win over Sam, of course, in the past. They fought for the belt before, but this is an interim title fight, so that's the situation there. But the thing is, this card is free on YouTube. Like this is one of the best free cards you can ever get in combat sports.
I agree. Tune in.
Yeah, those
I have
top
nothing
4
much to
5
say,
fights.
Other than good 4-ounce Muay Thai violence and a decent heavyweight title fight for MMA.
And less MMA than usual. Like it's Muay Thai after the first fight's MMA, then Muay Thai, a bunch of Muay Thai up until the heavyweight championship, which I'm not going to complain, even though it is weird. It's in a ring. Like, why are you putting the heavyweight championship of the world, which is
Especially
fairly hyped up because of the
Buller.
Just
yeah,
one-
a wrestler like
just
Buller and
one
a guy
doing
who
one
can
shit.
wrestle Malakin. It's
Strange.
It's weird, though. Maybe that's the only time they could my only thought is maybe that's the only time they could get Buller into the ring. Like they had to. He demanded this date because he's like Chatri does some bullshit, but it seems like this is all Buller playing this fight. From what we've heard, which is tidbits, morsels. All right, PFL. So I mean, we know how PFL goes, like minus 800 favorites most of the way through cards, but I'm excited to see Jaral Salawi versus Solomon Renfro. I like this better than what Jaral Salawi was booked for before, which is, well, first Doumbé, which I like that, but then Jusola, I didn't like that. He was not good. I mean, Jaral's old, but he was a brave guy and like a top brave guy for a long time. He has a win over Lazy King, a loss against Lazy King too, but by split decision and a knockout win over Lazy King. win over Carlston Harris in Brave. So Jaroslaw is like a nerd's regional or foreign regional fight scene nerd's favorite type of fighter, but he's getting old. He's looked fairly bad in his last two, albeit against Umalatov and Sadabusi, who are like the two best guys in the welterweight division in PFL. He got knocked out by both of them, but they're really good right now.
Or I was going to say, shout out. He's one of the only, I believe, the only Jordanian fighter.
Yeah, the Jordanian Lion. Shout out to my boys at, well, it was Draw Gang, but now Baki Gang LLC on Twitter.
Nice.
But yeah, he's 30 and like he's only 30, but he's looking like slower and older noticeably.
Yeah.
But this is, and Solomon Renfro is pretty good. Like he was a guy who kind of like he lost a very controversial split to Johnny Parsons. I thought he won on the Contender Series. And then like went and everyone was like, all right, well he'll get back in the UFC, don't worry. But then he lost to Adam Fugit. But now he's here in PFL, so maybe he can do something. Like I'm excited for this fight. I think Draw is a live dog though. He's like plus 130.
Yeah, it's definitely a good test for Renfro, and I'm here for it. You know.
Yeah. And then all right, moving up the card, the two boys, these guys are like this. Nathan Schultz, Hausch Manfio, the first three winners of the PFL lightweight tournament. Nathan won the first two. Hausch won the 2020 or 2021 title when Nishan Schultz was not in it at all. 2021, because there wasn't one in 2020. Yeah, and he beat the aforementioned Loic Rajabov in that one. Last year, he lost to Olivier Aubin-Mercier, but other than that, he hasn't lost since fighting Sydney Outlaw in 2018. But like, also Nathan Schultz, for a long time, ran this division in PFL. And again, his only losses recently are to OAM and then Marcin Held in 2021.
Yeah, he did look pretty bad against OAM, but that's OAM style. He makes
OAM
dudes
can make
look
guys
bad. Yeah.
Look like that. Slow down fights and look like that. And
Schultz grappling is so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Schultz came back, avenged that Marcin Held loss, beat Alex Martinez, who's pretty good, beat Loic Rajabov, beat Randy Nijim before that, but beat Stevie Ray in his last one, beat Arm Triangle and Jeremy Stevens before that. I don't know. I really don't know. I think Monfio might have the takedown defense and striking edge, though.
Nathan Schultz, if you don't mind, he's fun. He's kind of PFL's one homegrown, not star, but like actually legitimate talent. He's been with them since day one.
Yeah.
And like you said, he kind of ran this division for a while. Really slick grappler. He's one of those guys who I kind of wonder if he hit his ceiling early in his career.
Yeah,
because his style, I mean, he's good. He does everything well. But again, you've seen him get pretty outclassed by guys like OAM who were able to kind of make him
weird that was a split decision, I'll say.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
PFL has a lot of funky decisions.
Yeah, that's fair.
But he has a lot of great wins. But like you said, they're earlier in his career. Chris Wade twice, Randy Nijim twice, once, Akhmed Aliyev, Rashid Magomedov, Loic Rajabov. Yeah,
I think he's perfectly like PFL 2 through 4 seed in the playoffs. I don't know if he's ever going to win again.
Yeah, especially with Burgos and OAM there now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Hausch Manfield's been around for how old is he now?
He is 31. They're both kind of like just slightly past the peak, but still good. No.
Well, yeah. I wonder if we're going to see the old, 2000s IBJJF classic where two teammates go against each other. One guy goes, "Nah, you got this one." So because they're like best friends. I think Schultz is the godfather of Manfio's kid or something.
Oh my god!
And they've both won the $1 million. But again, like this fight, they both have 3 points.
They just have a grappling match with gloves on.
I should set the picture here real quick for the lightweight division right now. This is the second fight. So next up is the playoffs. Every lightweight either has 3 or 0 points. Manfio. And there's 5 lightweights with 3 points. So only 4 of them or one of the guys below can make the playoffs. Manfio and Schultz are the only guys from that top 5 who are facing each other. So one of them is getting in, one of them isn't. Whoever wins is getting into the playoffs. Whoever loses is not. And it is $1 million on the line.
See,
and
I wish the PFL did a better job of like telling about these scenarios because that adds a lot of intrigue to the matchup. And I literally. I consider myself a PFL, I ride.
You watch every event.
Yeah, exactly. And I literally had no idea about the fact that they
don't show the standings enough.
Yeah, they do not do a good job presenting and promoting themselves. I think. I love the product.
Sorry.
You go.
When you watch the NFL, they show you, especially at the end of the season, they're showing you the scenarios like multiple times a game. And also like, and also even with this, like you don't, I don't even, I've like, I looked at the playoff rankings like consistently. I don't know the tiebreakers for PFL
Yeah.
still because they've changed them multiple times throughout the course of their seasons. And there's so many issues with the playoff thing. Like it could be fun, but I don't know if it'll ever really work. I really don't. And like when
Yeah.
you see guys like Thiago and Wilkinson getting bounced out, and then that just ruins your whole season. Like in the UFC, if a guy takes a drug suspension, it doesn't ruin it because like the year goes
Maybe it's
on.
hard, but
Yeah,
like,
it ruins a card, not the year,
Or
not
they
a
move it to
season. This is the
California.
season you need it.
yeah.
And then similarly, when you sign a guy like Burgos, who's like borderline star material because he's so violent and and he had built his star in the UFC with banger fight after banger fight, and then he just you give him a guy like OAM, the fight is slowed down, it's not that fun, and then he misses the playoffs, which he's probably gonna miss the playoffs unless he can finish Nishikawa or get in on the tiebreaker by getting 3 points and having some losses, some help ahead of him and behind him with tiebreakers and not finishes. Like it's tough. Like and like if Thiago Santos didn't come in, he did stay in, he probably wouldn't have made the playoffs either. You can put these guys in showcase bouts on the prelims or even on the main card of like the playoff finale, but it's not the same. The stakes aren't there for a showcase bout.
Also,
you want these guys to be in your playoff finale.
I mean, no disrespect to him. I think it's like it's cool, but what are we doing putting amateur fights on the main card?
They've been doing that.
And like, I just don't understand. So again, I really want the PFL to succeed. I want them to be good, but all these points are very valid criticisms of the
Yeah, they don't make it easy on themselves by any means.
No, they don't. All right. So next one, Carlos Leal, who beat Ray Cooper when Ray Cooper looked like shit, and
which time?
No, and I mean he had a okay fight, like not okay fight. It was a boring fight, but a competitive fight with Sadabusi where he tried to clinch him and wrestle him, but C was able to and eventually defend and get off and kick him up. And then he knocked out David Zavada to start this season off. So he's right there. Like Leal's probably going to make the playoffs, especially if he wins this fight against Delano Taylor, who's decent. He was there last season, competitive. In the finals, but lost to Sadabusi also, and then got knocked out to start this season against Magomed Umalata, who I think is by far the best welterweight in the division in PFL. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought with all that talking, but yeah, I mean, I think Leal should win. He's good everywhere.
Yeah,
and he has that dog in him.
Delano Taylor's a decent striker, not much else.
Yeah, it's about it. That's all you can say about him. All right, Clay Collard, Stevie Ray. Clay Collard, one of my favorite fighters in the world.
That could be
honestly,
a very fun fight.
Could be. I think Stevie Ray. Yeah, he's a dog and he hangs in there, but I think he needs to get to the ground to win. Like, yeah,
Collard
for me.
I think
Collard does such a good job of mixing it up though, and keeping it in. I think he's one of those
body hitting
crossover stars who he really uses his boxing so well to complement his other areas of mixed martial arts, and
he's getting
Stevie
so much
Ray
better at it.
He got knocked out by OAM, which is hard to do if you look at OAM's history.
No one does.
Yeah.
Then not to say, that doesn't mean he's going to get knocked out here, but again, it's just the propensity to get caught. And Clay Collard, while not a finisher, absolutely has some of the cleanest boxing in MMA, period.
Yeah, and he can punish Stevie Ray pretty bad.
It's probably going to be, I see a decision for Collard as he usually does, probably just flashing with some tremendous skills. And
I should say that Stevie Ray hasn't beaten a guy who wasn't an old man since Jetson Ayari in 2018. His last 3 wins are Anthony Pettis, and Michael Johnson. And before Ayari, he was beating Joe Lozon, again, which is in 2017.
That's incredible.
So, he's lost to Felder, Kitchen Johnson, Leonardo Santos, Alex Martinez, Olivier Aubin-Mercier, and Atan Schultz in that time. So he's fought some good guys, but
he might be the last guy to lose to Leonardo Santos in MMA.
I forgot about that. That was brutal.
No, Leo beat Roman Bogatov after that. But yeah.
Of course. Who could forget Roman Bogatov?
So I mean, Collard. I mean, he could get a stoppage here because Stevie Ray's kind of looking old to me at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's not that old. He's 33. He's looking it.
I want to just less make a point of this for the fight, more just to make a point of it because it's a story. But Stevie Ray's child, I believe he had to raise a significant amount of money for some surgery.
Raised it really fast.
Yeah, heart surgery or something like that. Right?
Super sad that it's even. I mean, as a professional fighter, that you have to ask the community for money like that. Let's not. I mean, not to get into the pace situation of MMA these days, but it's been a lot in his life going on over the last
Yeah.
year
Yeah,
or
he's
so.
a dude that I support very much. I don't
Yeah.
100%.
see him winning the fight, but he's a dude that I'm like always.
Oh, he's a
both of
great
these
guy.
guys are. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, there's something about the rest of your life starting. You know, he's had a good career. He fought in the UFC for a while. He's
Yeah.
been in the PFL. So, not saying he's done by any means, but you kind of just start to get a sense sometimes where it's like, okay, life is starting to shift a different direction. So, you know, I see Clay Collard probably winning this one.
So next fight, Naib Lopez is 16-0 against Magomed Mulatov, 13-0, but Naib Lopez is not good.
No,
yeah, he's that Mexican
pro wrestler. Right. Yeah.
Yes.
He won his last fight, but it was not impressive. In his last fight was his first PFL fight. Let me double check that. Yeah, first PFL fight, but I was not impressed. Decision against Shane Mitchell, who's probably the worst lightweight in the division. Welterweight in the division. And Magomed Mulatov is the best welterweight in the division.
Yeah.
Mulatov should knock him out
stuff
very easily, I think. So that's all I have to say.
I was pretty shocked to see a Mexican fighter come out and spam takedowns. Like Naib Lopez did. I also the name Naib threw me off because I was like, is this guy Middle Eastern or is he?
Naib Lopez like Middle Eastern and then Mexican name. Yeah.
It was but we'll see.
All right, so David Zavada, UFC veteran, German, looking old to me, got knocked out by the aforementioned Carlos Leal in his last fight against Magomed Karamov, who formerly won this tournament, and is right there as one of the best. But I think again, Mulatov is clearly the best. But I think Magomed Karamov is like second or third best welterweight in PFL right now. I think Maga should win.
That's a pretty easy
by
pick.
Wrestling, probably.
I like Zawada, but it's got to be.
If you parlay all these favorites we've talked about, you'll maybe get like minus 250 odds on all of them.
Yeah,
get $5.
Yeah,
and it's like Zavada's like not that old. He's 32, but he's 2-5 in his last 5, and he's losing to like Danny Roberts, Ramazan Ameev, Alex Morono, who's good, but like Alex Morono kind of beat him up, and then getting knocked out by Carlos Leal, who's not a knockout guy. His wins are like Abu Bakr Nurmagomedov and Erhan Kartal, who's just some random guy over an octagon. I mean, Zavada's just like a guy who's lower level UFC welterweight and is now past it.
Yep. This is
Burgos Yamato Nishikawa, who's like a guy who's like 20 years old and had like a great career in Japan, but then came over here, to PFL, got beat up by Clay Collard. Like he had some good things in that bout where he was also supposed to make his UFC debut against Magomed Mustafayev, but Mustafayev fucked it, of course.
Nice.
And then I don't know why he lost the contract, but he came over to PFL. And he almost like hit Clay Collard to death, but Clay Collard just body punched him and beat him up until the fight ended. So he's clearly super tough, but he's also 20 and has 31 pro fights.
Yeah.
So and then that last fight, and then Muay Thai fights and shoot boxing fights and stuff too. On top of that, he's been all over. So I mean, I'm worried like about his health at this point. I mean, he started fighting in 2016 as a pro, so he would have been 13 then.
Oof.
And he's 5'7", fighting at lightweight against Burgos, who's massive. He's like Nishikawa's like a bantamweight sized guy.
Who sanctioned this fight?
Yeah, I mean, Nishikawa is legitimately talented and almost beat Clay Collard, although he got beat up really badly. Yeah. So like there's
it just feels
slight interest, but it does feel a bit yucky, and Burgos should beat him up. Burgos though, 0 points because he lost in that opening match against OAM. Needs a finish kind of to get in. If he doesn't get a finish, he needs help to get in.
I will say, just from that Burgos OAM fight, one of my least favorite things is when a fighter has his back taken and he is putting his hands up to the ref. Like, what's this guy doing? It's like, hey brother, maybe you should get out of the back.
Use your hands.
I mean, you can see it's frustration because he's like, I'm the star in this division, but he's losing.
It's the most
but like
frustrating thing, but
you got to do something about it. You can't look to the fucking ref.
Yeah. It's just weird to be in a situation where a make or break fight for your career and you're like helping out this promotion that risked a lot for you is beating a 20-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A 20-year-old bantamweight. Yeah,
that's the one big gripe I have with PFL. There's the small shit, but they do seem to participate in a lot of sort of predatory matchmaking. And as we touched upon, like
it's hardly even intentional because they're like, oh, we have this schedule we have to execute, so therefore
they force themselves into the position where they have to.
They also do the opposite, where they match their 2 best guys up early. Rob Wilkinson, Thiago Santos. They're like, well, we don't know these guys will fight in the playoffs. We have no guarantee of that. So let's just match them up right now in the opener. And same with Burgos and OAM. And it's not the move. It's just
Yeah,
not
it
the
seems
move.
It's
You're
like
gonna
they don't
make a
seem to
playoff
have
format. Trust in your playoff format.
Yeah,
Trust
they
in
don't
they'll
seem to
get
have
there.
a very cohesive vision by any means. It's sort of
Yeah.
you can sort of feel the bickering voices in their boardroom or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the meme of this. It's like Bellator just stepping on the rake and hitting yourself in the face, and then PFL doing the kickflip down the rail on the rake, and then also hitting themselves in
Yeah.
the face with just way more steps.
That.
It's
Oh
like,
my god.
Yeah.
That's perfect. You should make that because that
I
is
should.
perfect. Because
great
PFL's
idea.
trying to be flashy and failing. Bellator's doing the same old shit, and they're
And just-
okay, but they're not doing much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same. You know what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right.
That's
Started with
busted.
C. Shane Mitchell. Like I said earlier, Shane Mitchell's probably the worst welterweight in the PFL welterweight division right now.
Sada
He's not-
Busi is the most boring. So.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean he's gonna
Fun
like
name,
cardio kickbox him up from
And
range.
most interesting name. I think it's strange to name yourself after an actor that you don't even really look like.
No, No, not really.
Swedish
I didn't
Denzel.
I didn't realize he was named after the actor.
Denzel Washington. Yes.
Yeah. Oh
Weird.
boy. Um,
What else? we
okay.
got?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So and then the main event: Olivia Aubin-Mercier, Anthony Romero. Romero's pretty good.
I like Romero.
He's
Yeah.
in ATT or no, sorry, not Niagara top team guy.
Yes.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I like him, but Mercier is the
OAM's a
best guy in the
gamer.
division.
Yeah, OAM
Yeah.
is a gamer. He plays to the rules. He plays everything very smart, very safe.
Yeah, he's the highest fight IQ, one of the highest fight IQ guys in MMA. Period. Right now.
Yeah, he
I
may
think
not be
people- I mean,
flashy.
People will call him boring, but I mean, frankly, I like him. I've always
No,
liked him.
he's great. He's
If we're
very,
talking
very
like
good.
mixed martial arts, he's one of the best. And again, it's like you gotta love a guy who had some good success in the UFC. Maybe recognized he was never going to be one of the top stars.
Well,
Went somewhere else, got his bag, and is doing great. And he's still
Watch
winning
his,
fights.
his
$1
fight
million
with
bucks.
Armin Sarukian, he looked phenomenal. Like he gave Sarukian a ton of trouble and looked like a very high caliber fighter doing it. And then UFC, did he not resign or did they just say like, we're done with you?
I think he
he
didn't
was
resign.
Didn't resign. Yeah, he was like 9-5, 9-6 in the promotion,
Yeah.
something like that.
7-5, yeah.
Or 7-5. Okay.
But no, it's
So
still
you-
good, especially when you're fighting Sarukian, Burns, Alexander Hernandez, Diego Ferro, Drew Dober, Anthony Rocco Martin. Like those are good names.
Elite
Rocco.
resume. Haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, you thought Jake Matthews back on the Ultimate Fighter, way
Crazy.
back
Oof.
in the day. Evan Dunham, knocked out
I
Evan
mean, I
Dunham
see
actually.
him- I
That was
see
his
him.
last knockout before
potentially-
Stevie Ray.
I mean, probably cruise into a
Decision.
title match with Margaret McCaramov, probably, right? I mean, that's where we're seeing this go.
Wait, what? Magma
Oh,
Carroll's
I'm just seeing. OAM is probably going to cruise his way to another title fight against probably Margaret McCaramov.
no, Magma Carroll's a welterweight.
Oh, who's the other guy? Sorry.
Umalatov's a welterweight. You're thinking you get into your divisions crossed, bro. Just
Okay, I may have gotten mixed up.
It's all good.
Anyways,
No, but I mean,
um,
I don't know who it'll be, but someone.
Yeah, well, okay, then he's going to cruise
Yeah,
to a title
he's-
because I don't
this is
know if
lightweight, yeah.
lightweight division is going to contend with him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know who will rise. I mean, it might be Monfils with Schultz again. It might be Burgos
Yeah.
if he can win this one and get back there. I don't know.
Either
I
way,
don't
I
know.
see OAM getting $1 million richer within the next number
Yeah.
of months.
I see it too. I would pick him against anyone in the lightweight division in PFL right now. All right, now to our LFA corner, which
Here we
Dylan's
go.
going to take over.
I don't have a ton to say about this card. I would like to highlight the main event
Okay.
more than anything. So LFA 161 going down in Commerce, California. Okay, there's actually a couple decent fights in this card.
This Canuto girl I've heard a lot about.
Yes, she's decent. She's fighting a 6-6 girl, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, anyways, going
Someone
down.
6 has got to go.
Someone's 6 has got to go. So yeah, Commerce Casino in Commerce, California. Got 9 fights. The main event is going to be the flyweight championship between Cody Davis and Igor Sakaria. Cody Davis is the number 2 flyweight in the U.S. West, and let me double check. He's the number 14 ranked pro flyweight in the U.S. Really, really just overall skilled. Doesn't have a ton of knockout power. Never had a finish by knockout, but he has 3 submissions and 4 decision wins. And his only loss is to Mark Climaco, who will be fighting on the contender, or I think he's on the contender series coming up. He's Road to the UFC. Excuse me. Mark Climaco is fighting Road to the UFC and just won his first matchup in that last one. Really talented Filipino fighter. So yeah, he's really kind of the favorite for a lot of guys. Really good grappler, great top control, arm triangle choke. I believe he has a wrestling background as well. But he's taken on this kind of unknown guy, Igor Sakaria, coming out of or Cicada, sorry, coming out of Brazil. He's 9-1. He's fought for some regional Mexican promotions. Won the Azteca Fight League flyweight title most recently. He's on 3-fight win streak. His only loss as well is to Mark Flamaco, interestingly, in UWC, which is Ultimate Warrior Challenge in Mexico, which is one of their higher level promotions. And he's interesting. Really kind of karate style on the feet. Probably has some background of that in his childhood. Really, really good off of his back on the ground. And we might have to share this clip from wherever we can, but he actually hit Mark Flamaco in his loss with a jumping standing get up kick, where he acted like he was going to stand up, obviously off of his back, and then jumped into a head kick and tagged him. So he's got some crazy athleticism, and he's a good prospect to watch. I believe he's pretty young too. So, anyways, that's the main fight. I think it's gonna be exciting. I always ride for my flyweights. LFA tends to put on a good show. It's gonna be on UFC Fight Pass, and then a couple other decent fights in the card. Like you said, Giovanni Canuto. She is a prospect coming out of Brazil, black belt, 4-0 in LFA. Kind of one of their. They tend to like to build up young Brazilian female fighters a lot. Kind of following the Jacqueline Amorim path. Hopefully she doesn't have a gas tank as bad as Amorim's. But yeah, 3 wins by submission, and then fought just a very tough, hard-nosed girl in her last fight, who's 5-3, Jamie Colleen Miller. Won by decision, but just kind of one of those prove it fights. Like, can you stay in there for 5 rounds against somebody, or 3 rounds who won't give up? But she's fighting. In the co-main event, we got Renato Volante, who actually contended for the middleweight belt in his last fight and lost to Azmat Bakoyev in LFA. So he's exciting. He's Brazilian. Don't be fooled by the Native American headdress. He does wear the big kind of chieftain style headdress, and I was very confused because
Andrade style.
Yeah, cultural appropriation. I thought, but I was wrong. He's fighting Adriano Rodriguez, who's a Brazilian guy. I believe he's making his LFA debut. Nothing to say about him. I have no idea, to be completely honest. But the only other fight of real note on this card, I'd say, is Rafael do Nascimento is fighting Jordan Winsky. Do Nascimento, I've actually seen him fight live before. He won Rafael Militia, he goes by, and he has a Metal Militia tattoo on his back. So named himself, first nickname after Metal Militia, perhaps.
Militia. Oh, okay. I see. I was like militia, but okay, I got it.
Mulisha. Yeah. He's fighting.
I haven't heard about them in a minute.
Yeah, for real.
He has a win over Marcus McGee.
Yes, he does. That's the fight that I saw him choke out Marcus McGee in, which was sad because Marcus McGee is an Arizona favorite around here, and that was a quiet arena when he lost that fight. I'll just say that. But he's fighting Jordan Winsky, who is LFA Bellator vet. He's got mixed results. He's 3-3 in his last 6. Like I said, fighting for CFFC, Bellator, and LFA. No real wins to write home about. I think this is kind of one of those fights where they're setting up Do Nascimento for a good performance, getting back on the winning track after, because I believe he lost the title after, or had a shot for the title and lost that fight. But trying to get back on the track with that. But yeah, LFA, always recommend them. They put on a good show. It's gonna be on Fight Pass. I believe it starts at 6 p.m. Pacific time, so a little later for you guys.
7 here.
7.
Oh
okay.
wait,
yeah. Okay. It's Friday card. So yeah,
Friday,
you got in the morning, you got 1. Then in the evening, got PFL and LFA, BKFC if you want, and then. So the UFC card is like 11 a.m. Eastern time, 8 a.m. I think your time. Yeah, on the West Coast. So just be aware of that, anyone out there. But especially the one card, one of the best free cards you can get anywhere in combat sports, really.
Agreed.
So yeah, Takeru's fighting this week in MTGP if you can find it to watch it. And that's about it. Like, yeah, we'll see you guys next week. I mean, I think this went good enough that we can go again. We had some technical hiccups, some chemistry hiccups. I think it's good enough. I think we put out something we can work off of, build off of.
We will eventually
I don't know if
eventually
we'll do
learn
a
how to stop.
recap episode. I don't know if we'll do a recap episode. We'll see. I don't know if that's gonna be our style or if we're just in we'll talk about it amongst ourselves. But definitely we'll be back next week. I think for a preview of Strickland versus Abu Sipian.
Another Strickland main event.
Yeah, but then the
For
card's
some
actually
fucking reason.
not bad. You got Demiris Magulov versus Grant Dawson, Max
Tremendous
Griffin,
fight.
Michael Morales, Benoit Saint-Denis versus my boy Ismail
Benoit.
Bonfim. Now Nursultan Ruziboyev, another.
That is my boy.
Yeah, against Bruno. It's my boy Zach's boy too, against Bruno Ferreira. Kevin Lee returning against Rinat Fakhretdinov. Guram Kutladze maybe returning against some Brazilian guy. Yeah, and Weston Wilson might die.
Just tarnished with Sean Strickland once again.
Yeah,
Yep.
although let's do our Abu Supian prayer circle. All right, this has been Cagecraft episode 1. Thanks.